Can this rolly thing really sharpen this knife? What if I need to move my asparagus plants? Why am I pouring little tiny seeds into plastic bottles? And what's up with planting seeds in January? Today on What the Homestead? First things first, I wanted to move my asparagus plants. They're pretty well established, about 3 or 4 years here of growing, but the place I have them isn't getting enough sunlight. I've gotten some new raised garden beds, which I placed where they will get more sunlight. They're not right now, but they will once summer comes. And also because it's winter right now, which is a great time to relocate them because they're dormant. So I decided that's what I'm going to do. So having this new raised bed, well, you can see the cat's really helpful here as I'm trying to put down some cloth so the weeds won't grow up from the bottom of that. So I'll just put the cat in the raised. I'll grow cats. That's what I'll plant. Oh, my seeds jumped out. Okay, so as much help as Blue thinks he is, I think I can do better without him. So I'm just cutting some of this fabric that goes down, this just, Lowe's store-bought fabric. It probably really won't stop the grass from coming up. The grass does whatever it wants, but I will put it down as at least a barrier. And then I've got some cardboard boxes, get a lot of Amazon deliveries, and so using those cardboard boxes again, just kind of as a little bit of a barrier down there at the bottom to stop that grass from growing up and the weeds from growing up. Now I am going to go take the dirt out of the old raised bed, which was just basically wooden planks around it. It had some celery growing in there, some onions, but celery didn't do very well because of the lack of sun also. So I got everything into the wheelie barrel here, and I'm just going to wheel it over, take this dirt, load it up, and fill this bed about halfway, I suppose, on top of, you can see I got some paper and stuff like that. I'm just going to throw it right on top of all that stuff. That stuff will hopefully, it's really light cardboardy paper, which I assume will also break down into compost. That's my goal here. Anyway, I know some people say not to use cardboard because there could be toxins in it. I guess I'm just going to have to die. Well, eventually. Now, the big problem was trying to get these asparagus out of the ground. Man, are these roots set in here good. I used the shovels, you can see, and it took me much longer than I'm showing in this video, and then trying to dig in with my hands and finally getting this whole ginormous root mass. And this is just one of several that I'm actually going to pull out of here. I don't know if you can tell how really it fills the whole wheelbarrow there. It's really quite large, and I'm going to move it over and just throw that in there, and then I'm going to go back and get some more roots and throw that in there as well, and fill the whole thing with some dirt, with the hopes that this will come back up in the spring. It is January right now, so hopefully in the spring when asparagus starts to grow up. However, I will not probably harvest. Once you do this, I've been told that you kind of have to wait. You have to wait when you first plant asparagus. I'm going to back up. When you first plant asparagus, you do wait like 3 years before you actually harvest it. You want it to get set. You want it to be coming up. And then I've heard once you move it, you're supposed to wait again. So you can see some of the stalks are sticking out, cut pretty low to the ground, and all the roots are down there. So I'm assuming this will come up nice in the spring. And in 3 years from now, I will once again have asparagus to eat. All right, I got having a sharp knife is really important to me, especially when I'm filleting fish. And so I've always wanted to have a really good knife sharpener. Now, I've had a lot of knife sharpeners, and they seem to work good at first, and then they kind of dull out after a while. So this is a new magical rolly thing. On one side it's got the diamond, it's supposed to be a diamond cutter, and the other side is to help refine it. And then there's two different angles on this piece of wood. So there's just 20%, which is supposed to be what most knives are, and it is magnetic. So look, the knife sticks right to it and holds it in place. And then you just take the diamond side of the rolly thing and you just roll it back and forth. Let me turn the angle around so you can see. There you go. You can see how the diamond is just sharpening that knife right there. So I'm just going to go back and forth, and it actually works quite well. I did sharpen this knife, and I got it to a nice little fine point there. And then it was harder. Look, it sticks to the table. Look, the tablecloth's getting caught in there. It worked really well for these bigger knives. When I did the smaller, like fillet knives, it was harder because they didn't stick up high enough above the wood. Where this knife is pretty thick, so it's sticking up nice and high. But I did get to sharpen them, and I do kind of recommend it. It's pretty cool. I got it as a gift for Christmas, so if you feel that nice and sharp. If you do need to get a sharpener, you might want to check one out and just refine it here a little bit with the other side and finish that off. All right, also have in boxes, everything's in boxes, all these seeds. I got broccoli, I've got all kinds of seeds in here, and in the little packets they come in when you buy them and when people gift them to me, beets and all kinds of things in bags. And then I also save seeds from previous year's plants, which I like marigolds, which I just throw in a bag. Most of my wildflower seeds I throw in a bag, or if I like pick peppers or I pick some okra this year, I put them in like a paper and just kind of have them wrapped up in the paper. And it's not very well organized. So as a Christmas present, I got this seed organizer, and this is crazy. I feel a little bit like Dexter. Like I'm gonna save all my little samples in little plastic containers, and the thing I pulled out there was labels for the top, and this is a way for them to get the seeds in there and get them out with the funnel and the tweezers here, which actually turned out to be very useful in the future. So you just kind of unscrew it, you got the cap right, put it back on when you're done. So I'm going to unscrew it. Now here's some, I think these are okra seeds I've got here that, like I said, I just wrapped them in paper, put them in an envelope or something like that, because I got these out of a few pieces of okra before I ate them. So I'd have some new okra for this upcoming season. So instead of having them in envelopes and kind of all over the place, I'm just going to put them here into the funnel, kind of shake them into the container there, and now they're all in one spot. And I'm going to put the cap back on so they're not going to get wet, no moisture getting in there. Put a label on it. And then write on the label, and then I actually organized all of them. So the seeds I'm going to plant first are over to my left, and that would be like my winter, early spring, and then like my broccolis and things like that. And then go over to the summer where I've got like my okra, and then over to the fall when I'll plant, probably garlic, and there's no garlic seeds in there, but that time of year when I'll be planting those collards and those type of winter vegetables. So it's really, really well organized, and then I could just put them all in there. As you can see, I've got lots of labels and I have lots of seeds, and this is just it was a really cool way to just keep everything organized. And I kind of actually had fun getting it all together as well. There it is. I'm going to just put that away, and every time I need seeds, I just go in there, pull some out, and get to planting. Speaking of which, even though it's January, and I started this on January 1st, I'm going to start getting some seedlings going. And the reason is because I started them a little bit later last year, and I found that several of the plants I probably could have put in earlier. I could have gotten a better harvest out, because it does get warm here where I'm in zone 8A much quicker than I kind of expected. So plants like broccoli, any of those, I'm going to try Romanesco, I'm going to try Brussels sprouts, and even my tomatoes, they do better in the beginning of the spring in the cool weather before it gets too hot, when I switch over to growing things like okra. So I'm going to get some onions in the ground this year, and this is for the onions, and this is where now here's another kitten helping me. Yes, very help. Just throw my seeds on the floor. Okay, thanks a lot. Back up here. And onion seeds are so incredibly tiny, so the little tweezers came in really helpful. I could just put a couple in my hand, take one out, stick it in the dirt right there with the tweezers, and just getting one at a time. Like, otherwise, how do you do that? Like, I tried carrot seeds last year just in the yard, and they were just all bunched up, and then you have to thin them out, and it's sort of a pain in the butt. So this actually worked pretty good. I could just grab one seed at a time, throw some water on that, and get that going. Now, again, January seems really early, but when you think about it, I can start putting these plants like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, Romanesco in the ground in March here. They, even if they hit a frost, they'd probably be all right. So when you think January to February, that's only 8 weeks. It's not really a long time, 8 or 9 weeks before I'm going to be putting these seedlings into the dirt. I also started them on a heating mat, just a little warmth. I have onions, tomatoes, and then those three previously mentioned broccoli type things, and I put those on the heating mat just to get them started. And this is day one. They popped up real nice. The first day they sprouted, I should say. They'd probably been sitting there for a couple of days. And then here's day two, and you can see how fast these things are just coming up with that heat mat underneath them. Day three, even bigger. And take a look around. You can see they're all coming up really quite nicely, and not too many duplicates. Double 4, because I use those tweezers to kind of just put one seed in each one of the spots, so I don't have to thin them out. I'm going to start dropping the temperature every day, and eventually removing that heat mat when they get to be a good size. So here's my tomatoes. Now you can see the same time frame. They took a lot longer to come up, and my onion seeds aren't even hardly coming up at all in that same amount of time. So that heating pad really makes a big difference here, you can see. So I will get these transplanted into solo cups sooner than later, and then into the ground, like I said, in March. Maybe March, we'll watch the weather, but early March is what's going to happen here on What the Homestead.